Hey YouTube, Coppersan here. We're getting nostalgic again in today's video. Old school MapleStory was a completely different game, and the Maples back then had other things on their minds than completing dailies and grinding mesos. Here are 10 pains that only old school Maples felt. Starting out as a mage. Playing as a mage in old school MapleStory paid off when 4th job was released and mages could spam their full map attacks, but starting out as a mage was horrible. Back then you had to start spending your stat points from the moment you first leveled up, so at level 2. Well, after first spending hours rolling that dice to get the perfect stats, honestly that dice was so much pain, it took forever to create a character. But the problem was that mages needed intelligence, or int, and int did not scale with your basic attack back then. So mages either had to put points in strength to hit more with their regular attacks, or suffer and only hit 4 damage with their basic attacks all the way up to level 8. Back then, the tutorial was a lot longer as well. The true min-maxers, the even more crazy people, would not even put a point in their energy bolt skill once they reached level 8, just to level up their MP boost skill just a bit quicker so they would get a bit more MP than other Maplers. Starting out as a mage back then was pretty hardcore. Accuracy on monsters. Old school warriors probably felt this one the most. MapleStory had a completely different formula for accuracy back then. It was a separate stat that would go up the more dex or luck you had, or if you had any separate accuracy boosts. Warriors really suffered back then when fighting monsters like Junior and Neck. You have high avoidability. They would just keep missing them, because strength did not really add anything to your accuracy and you needed dex. So if warriors tried to go dexless, it was even more challenging to just hit monsters. Maples would have to scroll their gear with accuracy just to stand a chance. No mesos for potions. Starting out in MapleStory, as you can imagine, was no easy task back then. Monsters did not drop a lot of potions like they do now. So after fighting for a while, most Maples had to use chairs to recover their HP and MP more quickly. There were a few safe spots in maps like the Slime Tree where you would often see Maples just waiting for their HP and MP to recover again. Some classes like Warriors did have it a bit easier though. They had a skill that boosted the amount of HP they recovered while standing still, and even had a passive skill called Endure that allowed them to recover HP while hanging on a rope. Pretty nuts. But not everyone would spend their skill points on those skills. To max out all of the first job skills as a warrior, you would need a total of 94 skill points, but Maples would only get 61, so some tough choices had to be made. Do you want to recover your HP more quickly, or do you want to, for example, get more weapon defense? Another way that was often used to recover your HP and MP was in the Sleepywood sauna, of course, where your recovery rates were boosted as well. By the way, if you are enjoying today's nostalgia video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more MapleStory content. Make sure to hit the bell notification as well so you never miss an update. Low drop rates. Getting an item back then was a moment of happiness and excitement. Finding a simple panlet was crazy already, and if you just started out, your mesos were probably mostly used to buy potions. Getting gear was pretty rough back then. Some Maples were grinding for weeks just to get throwing stars as well. Getting steelies or ilbies was insanely hype. There were also countless quests that required Maples to find items that could take hours and sometimes even days to complete. Maples would throw their time away looking for a nap and dead honey or grinding zombie lupins just to try and farm an absurd amount of zombie lupin dolls for a quest. Speaking of quests, in the next MapleStory nostalgia video I want to go over some of the toughest and most horrible old school MapleStory quests. If you remember any, feel free to let me know in the comments. Additional equipment requirements. And then after all that grinding you get lucky and you finally find a really nice level 48 black mage overall. But guess what? Instead of needing only luck and int to wear this item, you now also need to have 20 fame to wear this cool black equipment. So Maples were either forced to buy fame from other Maplers for usually around 15k each, or complete quests that would reward fame. Selling or buying fame was an easy way to make a couple of mesos as a new Mapler back then as well. I actually met my fiancée because of this. She needed fame for her gear and I helped her out back then. So good things can come out of this as well. Traveling around the Maple world. Only 3rd job assassins had flash jump back then, and mages were the only classes that could teleport. Also, all base speed was a lot slower than what it was now, so you can imagine walking around was a pain for most classes. Back then, Maples would either equip speed items like red whips to walk faster, and it also didn't help that the maps back then were absolutely gigantic. While it was fun to explore the Maple world, there was no getting somewhere quickly, unless you paid for the taxi, which many of us didn't have the mesos for back then. Old school trading. Trading mostly happened in the free market, which while it was fun also had a lot of limitations. The only efficient way to trade was to set up your own store, which not only cost real life money but also required you to stay online. As soon as you went offline, your store would close as well. I'm still mad that my mom closed my PC while I was away and my store would disconnect. Honestly, mom, you cost me so many mesos. And with every maintenance, all stores would disconnect as well. So if you were lucky and you were playing right after the maintenance, you could snag a nice spot. Because if you were relegated to a higher number room, there was a very small chance to sell your items. Maples would also sell their spots or buy more expensive mushroom stores from the cash shops so they could log off while their store stayed online. Knocking back monsters. The next one on our list was exclusive to archers and assassins. When they would stand too close to the monster, they would start regular attacking instead of shooting arrows or throwing stars. Archers even had a special skill to knock back monsters just to make more room for them to shoot arrows. Imagine playing current day MapleStory with all those spawn boosters and giant monsters, and every time you get too close to a monster you start regular attacking on these classes. Yikes. Bosses and accessibility. Bosses were only for the elite. I mean, fighting Mushmon was okay, but trying to solo Zakum or Horntail was out of the question. Besides the 12-man parties needed, there was also another hurdle to fight bosses like Zakum. Before Maples could fight Zakum, they would first need to complete a party quest, which usually took about 10 to 15 minutes. Not too bad, but then part 2 unlocked, which was completing the Zakum jump quest. Some Maples would even resort to buying jump quest servers so other Maples would play on their accounts to complete the jump quest, which of course resulted in the necessary drama and hacked accounts. No easy job advancement. And the final point on this list is a pain a lot of Maples felt as well. Something as simple as the job advancement was a long and dreadful task that would sometimes take days to complete as well. To start off the third job advancement, Maples needed to complete a quiz which required a dark crystal. And if you answered one question wrong, you would need another one. I'm still traumatized by the first time I did this. I accidentally bought a black crystal, which was the wrong item. I actually needed a dark crystal, not a black one, so I wasted like my only 100k that I had. And when I finally reached level 70 on a different character, the tutorial changed and the answers were not updated. So one of the questions was, what is the first NPC that you encountered? And you had to give the wrong answer. The fourth job advancement was another beast as well. It's still similar to the current way your job advances in Explorer, but back then Manon and Griffey were not instants and only spawned every couple of hours, so Maples had to wait a long time just for the opportunity to job advance. And those were 10 pains only old school Maples felt. Remember anything that hurt? Let me know in the comments. As always, many thanks to our members for making videos like this possible. Thanks to Niels de Coninck, Raar maar waar, Sebastian Hanoy, FLX, Jeff Wang, Pinky Traveler, Terry Kim, Jiju, Galaxy Art, Roderiguez, Varees, Ryaiser, Aryu, Dries, Plux, Zenny, Wiley, Francisco Sousa, History Cannon, Backspace, OTI, CMAC, Saffronix, Alonso, BG Extremes, Harry Gardner, Ido Heimann, Anwar NHI, Brandon, Frank Bouguet, Ziggy Deer, Fine Asian Guy, Mr. Potemkin, Flidiot, Beamer WT, Lars Smits, Ajar, Knifesu and Chen125. If you would like to mention here as well and get early access to new videos, make sure to check out the join button below this video. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe and happy mapling!